Hi guys, it's Fentony back with another video, and in this one we're breaking down the end of Game of Thrones preview from Entertainment Weekly. It's a really good read. The cast talk about the scripts and how epic the season is. Security was extremely tight and there was lots of tears. I'm only really going to talk about the main points in this video, but I'm going to leave a link down so you can read all the quotes from the actors. They talk about the table read-throughs and the first time they read the scripts. Like I said earlier, there's lots of tears and it's a great read. So first up, the showrunners Dan and Dave had an idea to do the final 6 episodes as free 2-hour movies released in theaters. They felt that was the only way to get the time and money they needed to make the finale the best it could be. They felt that was the only way they could pull it off. But HBO shot this down as they don't really want to do box office movies. They want to provide a service for their subscribers, and that's how they make their money, and Game of Thrones is a massive part of that. But they did reassure Dan and Dave that they would have everything they need to make the final season a summer tentpole-sized spectacle. They made a deal with HBO to spend 2 years on a final season that's slightly shorter, but each episode would cost more than $15 million. I mentioned it earlier, but HBO subscribers are very important to them. The number of subscribers skyrockets when Game of Thrones comes on the air, and once it goes off after a season, it kinda drops down a bit. Of course, this is the final season of Game of Thrones, and there's only 6 episodes left. We haven't been told exactly how long these episodes are going to be, but I feel they'll be at least an hour each. After the final 6 episodes, Game of Thrones does end, but HBO do plan on releasing new material based in the world of A Song of Ice and Fire. Next year they're filming a pilot for a new series based thousands of years ago that's going to focus around the Long Night, and casting for this has already been announced. I don't know their plans for the long term, but I imagine HBO want material from A Song of Ice and Fire all the time. They want new episodes every single year, and it's not just a Long Night prequel, supposedly there's more in development as well. As for the movies, I don't know if they'll ever go down that road, but just how incredible would it be to watch Game of Thrones in a cinema. So we do know that Season 8 will open at Winterfell, and this episode is meant to have plenty of callbacks to the show's pilot episode. But instead of King Robert Baratheon arriving at Winterfell, it's Daenerys Targaryen and her armies. This episode's all about meetings and reunions. It's meant to be thrilling and intense. Some characters will be meeting for the first time, and some of them have very messy histories. But also they need to prepare for the Army of the Dead, as they have crossed the wall, and will very soon be at Winterfell. Remember, the North do hate the Targaryens. We were reminded of this in Season 7, and it's highly likely the North are not going to be happy that they're under Targaryen rule again. I do imagine that Jon will try and assure the North that it was the only way, but they might not buy that. But we've got to remember, the end of the world is coming. All the politics will have to be pushed aside. We also know that Sansa's not very happy that Jon's bent the knee to Daenerys, his new Targaryen girlfriend. At least not at first, so eventually she must come around. There was that teaser released a few months ago with Jon and Sansa. They hug at Winterfell, and that's probably from the first episode, and that's the scene that they're talking about in this teaser. Entertainment Weekly have also released a new image, and I do talk about it in another video, but I'm going to talk about it more in this one. Daenerys has a new updated white coat and a northern hairstyle, but it also looks like Jon Snow's outfit has slightly changed as well. It actually looks like it's not actually got anything related to the Starks on it. A lot of people think that it's actually got dragon scales on it, but I'm not too sure about that one. If Jon's wearing this outfit that doesn't have the Stark emblems or anything on it, perhaps this means that he's actually given the North to Sansa. Maybe his parentage is revealed and he doesn't want it anymore, because he feels it doesn't belong to him, or maybe he feels that Sansa's a better ruler. Something that I really can't wait for is the Stark children meeting Daenerys. Obviously Sansa's not going to be happy at first, and I feel Arya will probably feel the same, but eventually I think the 3 of them are going to become very close. I don't think Bran will care. Actually, I think he's going to feel that Daenerys needs to be here, and her dragons need to be here as well, and her army, and that Jon bent the knee was the right decision. We don't know when Bran will reveal Jon's parentage to him, but it looks like the first episode is going to be all about the meetings and the reunions. Then the second one is going to be preparing for the Night King, and he's built up as almost unbeatable. He broke through the wall which stood for thousands of years. He killed a dragon and now has one of his own. His army is much larger than anything in the south, and if the southern human armies can't get together and work it out, they don't stand a chance. We've also got to remember that Jaime Lannister's heading up north, and he should reach Winterfell. We don't know when this is going to happen, maybe towards the end of the first episode, or maybe episode 2. It's probably going to parallel his first time at Winterfell. When he was there, he didn't care. He was an ass to everyone at Winterfell, especially Jon Snow. But he's changed so much. I can't wait to see Jaime talk to the Stark kids, especially Bran, but also Jon and Daenerys. He did meet them at King's Landing, but he didn't get a chance to talk to them one-on-one. They've got a messy history together. Obviously Jon and Jaime did have that conversation at Winterfell, where Jaime was basically bashing him for joining the Night's Watch and being a bastard, and obviously Jaime did kill Daenerys' father, but eventually everyone's going to get put to one side and they will work together to face the Night King. As for the Army of the Dead, they're probably going to spend most of their time in the first couple episodes marching down to Winterfell and hitting the northern castles. The last hearth, the home of the Umbers, is the closest to the wall, and we'll probably see that get attacked very shortly in the season. And then episode 3 will be the big battle of Winterfell. It's meant to be one giant episode, likely an hour of action, and it comes from the Battle of the Bastards and Hardhome director Mikhail Sapochnik. He spent 55 nights shooting the battle outdoor at Winterfell, but then he moved into the studio and he continued working on the same battle for weeks after that. Peter Dinklage describes it as brutal, and it makes the Battle of the Bastards look like a theme park. But the battle doesn't just focus on one person, it's got intercuts between multiple different characters, and each of them have their own survival storyline, and they describe it as each of them having their own genre. We've got to remember there's so many characters at Winterfell, and so much going on. Some characters can fight, some of them are not warriors, but against the Army of the Dead, everyone needs to play their part. I can imagine that Arya might be charged with defending Sansa and Bran, Jon leading the troops on the ground, and then Daenerys and her dragons. No doubt Jaime and Brienne will have some great battles as well. They have a lot of history together, and I can see them fighting side by side against the Army of the Dead. Basically, everyone who's alive and not siding with Cersei looks to be at Winterfell. But it's not going to be the only battle in this season. It looks like it's going to be the massive, Minas Tirith battle, but after that, it looks like it's going to be a battle in King's Landing, which is probably going to be maybe a bit smaller scale, but has far bigger consequences. It looks to be the final battle, and we're not sure what happens in the end. Winning by strength of arms might not be the way to do it. They might not be able to defeat the Night King in battle, and it's highly likely that Bran, Melisandre, Jon, Daenerys, there's something out there that can stop the Night King. The big battle's going to be epic, but this series doesn't end with just a swing of a sword. There was also hints from a scene from the final ever episode, and supposedly there's characters there that Entertainment Weekly did not expect to be there. We don't know what this means. That could mean that past characters that maybe were killed off, maybe been missing for a long time, or maybe characters that everyone expects to die. Lots of people have different opinions on who's going to die and who's going to make it out to the end. A very obvious pick of death is definitely Cersei. It seems like she has to die because she's such a massive threat and a massive problem. She still holds King's Landing, and that looks where the big final showdown is going to happen, and if her on the Iron Throne, the living cannot win. But maybe she doesn't die. Or maybe some characters that we think are definitely safe, maybe they don't make it. Honestly, we can't really tell. This season has been so well protected and so well guarded. We know some little bits, but for the majority of it, we don't know what's going on. This series has always been regarded as pretty unpredictable, and it kind of goes against the grain of the typical fantasy genre, so we do expect a lot of big surprises before the end. So in the comments below, let me know your thoughts on this preview, and anything Game of Thrones Season 8 related. It's likely a first teaser will drop very soon, maybe in the next few weeks, but definitely before the end of the year. We're definitely not getting a big trailer anytime soon. I think that's going to maybe come out after the new year, but we're going to get some teasers first. Probably stuff that's not actually filmed for the show, just filmed exclusively for these teasers and promos. As for when the episodes air, they'll probably announce that very soon as well. They probably know when they're going to air the episodes, but they're not ready just to announce it yet. The episodes will air in the first half of next year, so it's highly likely we'll find out very soon. All the filming's done, it's into post-production now, and the promos are starting. So make sure you subscribe and make sure you come back, because loads of Game of Thrones videos are coming. Anyways guys, remember to leave your thoughts in the comments below, and if you're new to the channel, you love Game of Thrones, and you want to stay up to date on everything related to it, make sure you subscribe. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.